Hello, are you there?
Here.
Okay, can you turn on your video?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so are you ready to start?
I am ready to go.
Today is April 18th, 2025. My name is Aaron Palker. I am an eighth grade student at Bicultural Hebrew Academy of Connecticut. I will be interviewing my great aunt, whose name is Lorraine Ross, about her life and legacy. This interview is being recorded for the Oral History Collection for the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County's archives as well as our family archives. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I will ask you questions that will help me learn more about you and our family's history, especially about our Jewish history. If you can't answer the question, say so and move on to the next one. Also, if you would rather not answer a question for any reason, just tell me that. I want it to be fun and for you to be comfortable at all times. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's start with you telling me your full name.
Lorraine Susan Palker Ross.
Who are you named after, if you know?
I was named after my mother's grandmother, my great grandmother, whose name was Suralea, which is what my Hebrew name is.
Do you have a Hebrew name and what is it?
Suralea.
In this class, I have been learning about the immigration of Jews to the U.S. and other places. Do you know where your parents and our family immigrated from?
My mother came from Warsaw, Poland, with her family. My father, he was born in New York, but his parents came from Austria.
Before they immigrated to the United States, did they talk about what their life was before they left? Do you have any stories about Jewish life there?
No, my mother really never, she was about 10 years old when she came here, and she never talked about life there at all.
Uh, did your parents or anyone in your family experience or were affected by the Holocaust?
The only one was my mother had a first cousin whose family lived in Germany at the time of the Holocaust, and the brother and sister were both put into a um, concentration camp in France, which was a work camp, and they stayed in that camp. His sister, Minna, was the woman, stayed there for the rest of the war. She was actually sick and was put in a hospital with nuns, and they kept her in the hospital till after the war. The boy, Michael, was 12 years old, I think, when he was first taken into the concentration camp. And he was rescued by Quakers who took 100 boys from the concentration camp and brought them to Philadelphia, where he lived in an orphanage until he was 18.
Uh, were they able to meet up after the war?
Yes, they all, after the war, they all were in New York City with
Uh,
us. They stayed with near us.
can you tell me anything about our family's immigration to the U.S.?
Well, I know that my grandfather and one of my uncles came here in 1921, way before the Holocaust. And they came and worked here for a couple of years to earn enough money to send back to Europe to my grandmother. And then she came here with her, my grandmother, my mother, and four other siblings in 1923.
Why did they leave?
I think they just left because they wanted a better life. There were pogroms going on in Poland, and it was hard earning money. And my grandfather had a brother who lived in New York who sponsored him to come to New York because in those days, the only way you could get into the country is if you had a sponsor, you had a promise of a job, and a place to live.
Was it easy for them to like adjust to their new life?
Uh, my mother didn't talk about it much, but it seemed like it was. It was. I mean, they lived in a very Jewish area, so they were with people similar to them, all who immigrated from other countries, and they seemed to have been able to do that okay.
This is great background. Thank you. Now I would like you to take out the item that you brought to talk about today.
Oh, the only item I really thought about is I have a ring that I wear on my pinky, and it was my mother's wedding band, which had diamonds going all the way around. And after she died, I took the ring and we cut it up into four pieces. And I have a ring. Cousin Jen, cousin Ellen, and cousin Michelle each have a ring. So me and my three daughters
Uh,
wear this ring all the time. And it's my mother with us, watching over us at all times.
do you know
Okay.
where it came from?
My mother got it as for her 25th wedding anniversary 60 years ago. So it's 60 years old. Okay. I also have an album that I created, which was supposed to be a family album that I tried to get all my cousins to participate in, but we didn't do it 100%. Okay. It's 1 second. Let me get these papers out of here. It started with a very easily family tree of just my family. And then it went into pictures. So it started with pictures of my grandparents and all their children. This is my mother's family. And then I had each family give me pictures of their families as they were growing up. And I tried to keep it up to date, but the only ones who kept giving me pictures was me and your grandfather. So our family is the only one that's really up to date on it. But it's
Do you think it helps keep the history of your family alive?
absolutely. I also have in it the a copy of the original manifest of when they all came here
Oh,
on Ellis Island, and my grandfather's naturalization papers, which included my mother and her siblings in it.
huh. Now I would like to ask you a few questions about your life growing up. Where did you grow up and who lived with you growing up?
I grew up in the Bronx, originally in a small apartment in the Hunts Point section of the Bronx with my parents and my brother, who is your grandfather. And we lived there until I was 14. And then we moved to a different section of the Bronx into a little bigger apartment, but we still lived in a one-bedroom apartment. And I shared a room with my brother until he married your grandmother.
What's life like? Tell me something about school life. Your favorite teacher, favorite subject? My favorite subject is math.
You and I agree then, because my favorite subject always was math.
Uh,
I went to elementary school that went from kindergarten to sixth grade. Then I went to a junior high, which was supposed to be seventh, eighth, and ninth grade, but I skipped a grade. So I only had to go 2 years there. And then I went to,
you skipped a grade. Were you too smart for that grade?
they had something in those days called special progress, that if you had tested, you had to take a test. And if you got high enough scores on the test, you were able to skip a grade.
Was it a hard decision to try to skip a grade?
It didn't feel, we didn't realize it at the time. I didn't see any difference. It was more like they cannot connected seventh, eighth, and ninth grade math got combined all into 2 years instead of 3 years. So you'd still got
Uh,
all the learning that you needed. And then I went to an all-girls high school for 1 year because the area we lived in was a very rough neighborhood, and my parents wouldn't let me go to the local school. And then when we moved, I changed to a local high school. And then after that, I went to college and I went to the City College of New York, which in those days was free. So we didn't have to pay any
Was
tuition.
free.
We didn't pay any tuition. The only
So
thing
it
we had
was
to
like a
pay,
public college.
yes, but you had to have certain grades to get into it. You had to have a certain grade point average to be
So is
accepted
it like
into it.
sponsored by people or is it a government owned public college?
The city owned it, New York
Oh,
City, and
did
they
you feel
still
like you
do.
got a good learning experience there?
Absolutely. It was an excellent college. My brother went there and I went there. Also, we both went there. And your grandfather was an engineering student, and they were like rated one of the top engineering colleges in the country. So it was a very good school. They still have the city colleges, but now they do charge a small tuition. But we paid no tuition. We just had to pay like a $29 fee every year.
$29.
That was it. Compare that to what college costs now.
Oh, did that include a room for you to stay at?
Oh, no, we couldn't live there. There was no
Oh,
dorms. So we had to take this, I had to take a bus and a train every day to get there. I lived in the Bronx and the city college is in Manhattan. So I had to take a bus and a train to get there or drive there when we were driving.
how long did you have to drive
It
or
was about an
travel?
hour commute. It was about an hour commute,
Oh,
but it wasn't the same. You didn't have that college life of living there and being in a dorm and living with your friends.
what did you and your childhood friends do for fun?
When I was young, when I was like, young ages, we basically played out in the street. The boys would play stickball, we would play handball, we would play hopscotch, jump rope, those type of games, but it was all outside. We'd had no organized sports like you have now. You just made up a team and you played with your friends. Um, I did belong to Girl Scouts, so that was something that was organized. But that's what I did when I was, younger. As I got older, I did join the YMHA and went to
Wait, what?
dances. YMHA, Young Men's and Women's Hebrew Association, and I did go to dances and belong to clubs there. Otherwise, with my friends in the city, you were able to get on a bus or a train and go places without your parents driving you. So we did go to movies. I went roller skating.
Did you
I would go
still
with my
need your parents' permission or did you just sneak out?
No, you needed your parents' permission. I did not sneak out. I was a good kid.
Did any of your friends sneak out?
Not that I know of. I'm sure some did, but I don't really remember anyone specific.
Did you go to synagogue? What was that like?
When I was in Hebrew school age, my parents belonged to a conservative temple that we could walk to from our house. And my brother went there for Hebrew school and was bar mitzvahed from there. By the time I entered Hebrew school, the conservative temple wasn't having classes anymore. Their congregation got very small and they stopped having classes. So I went to Hebrew school at an Orthodox temple that was right across the street from the conservative temple.
Ah,
In an Orthodox temple, girls were not, it wasn't egalitarian. So girls were not allowed up at the bima when the Torah was out and things like that. So when it came time for, I did have 5 years of Hebrew school, but when it came time for a bat mitzvah, if a girl wanted one, it had to be on a Friday night when the Torah wasn't taken out. And, excuse me, I'm sorry. And so most girls did not get bat mitzvahed. So I actually did not have a bat mitzvah, a
oh.
formal bat mitzvah.
Do you
They
wish
did.
that you could have had one?
I would have liked it at the time, but none of my friends were having it, and it was downplayed by the temple because in an Orthodox temple, girls were not considered as important as boys, and they didn't need to have the bat mitzvah. When I got older, my rabbi always said that once you're called up to the Bima and have an aliyah, it's like your bat mitzvah. So, and I've been called up to the Torah many times and had aliyahs many times, but I never had a formal bat mitzvah.
Is your famous favorite Jewish holiday and describe how you have and your family celebrated it when you were a child?
I would say Passover was probably my favorite Jewish holiday because we would have a big Seder at my grandmother's house. My grandmother had a what they called a railroad flat, where first of all it was 6 floors, walk up, and when you got up there, it was a long, 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 long hallway. And off the hallway was a living room and all the different bedrooms. And at the end of the hallway was this huge dining room. And she had a dining room table that must have sat at least 20 or 30 people. And everyone in the family would come here for the Seder's.
Oh, that's a pretty big Seder.
Yes, it was a very big Seder. In fact, when I was really young, most kids could not even sit at the table because there wasn't enough room for us. So we usually stayed in the living room while the Seder was going on, and they would call us in for certain portions of it. Like for the four questions, we would all come in. To sing Dayenu, we would all come in. To certain parts of it, we would come into. The rest, it was just the family, but it was everyone was together. I was together with all my cousins and distant relatives. So I
Did you
always
know everybody there, or were there some like strangers?
some of the older people I recognize slightly, but I didn't really know. It's like now, even when I look at some of the pictures, I still have pictures from some of the Seder's. There are a couple people in there that I'm not sure who they were. I don't know if they were friends of my grandparents
Uh,
or really distant relatives, but most of them I do know.
would you have preferred a smaller Seder where everybody got to participate?
Not really, because I enjoyed having being with everyone in the family.
Uh,
And just with it was my mother was one of 6 children. So if we just took my mother and her siblings and all their husbands and wives and all their children, we could not even fit around that table. We'd been too many, but it was great being together with everyone.
so I think that my favorite Jewish holiday is also Passover. I enjoy the Seder, and I enjoyed eating lots of themed foods.
Hmm.
So, what is your what is your favorite Jewish tradition?
My favorite Jewish tradition, I would probably say everything that goes around Passover.
Ah,
I still have, it's much smaller now, obviously, but I still have most of my children come. My son lives in Texas, so he doesn't come a lot, most of the time. But my 3 daughters come and my grandchildren, and we do the Seder, we sing songs, we have a lot of fun. The kids love searching for the Afikoman. So it's just a fun time with my immediate family.
would you have preferred to have a larger Seder?
We've done it at times. It's just a lot of work and difficult to do. A number of years ago, we had a Seder that you came to that we had. There was 25 of us, I believe, because it was my children and my grandchildren, and then it was you and your sister and your parents and my brother and your cousins and their family, your uncle and your aunts and uncle and their family. So it was nice being everyone together. And actually, I have a picture from there. That's one of my favorite pictures. See if I can get it up here. Here we go. You can see it well. That was everyone at my house.
Can you
You're
hold it
somewhere
back
right,
from the computer a little bit? Oh, cool.
somewhere right in the middle, I believe, sitting with your father.
So does that remind you of when you were a child and used to have very large Seders?
Yes, definitely did. It's just it's difficult to do that nowadays because it's very expensive and it's a lot of work, and it's just hard to get everyone together like that.
Did anybody in your family serve in the military?
The only one I know that served in the military was my cousin who was in the concentration camp. When he
Ah,
came to America, when he came to New York, he was 18, and he did go into the military and served in the Korean War. And
was he drafted or did he go by choice?
I don't really know. I'm not sure. I didn't meet him until came home from the war. Because when he first came to America, I was
Did
very
he
little.
seem to be proud to serve America?
Yes, he did.
Did he have like a bad experience or was he fine after the war?
I don't think he had any physical problem from the war.
Ah,
He wasn't injured or anything. He seemed okay. He came back to New York for a while and then he moved out to California.
ah. How did you meet Uncle Art?
We met at a dance for single people in Manhattan. He lived in Brooklyn and I lived in the Bronx, and
Ah,
we both went to this dance on 34th Street in Manhattan, and that's where we met.
oh,
And it was funny because we met two strangers meeting and we start talking, and turns out he went to high school with your grandfather.
oh,
They knew each other in classes. They weren't friends, but they knew each other from high school.
was he a good dancer?
He was okay, an
Were you a
average
better
dancer.
dancer?
I think we both were probably average dancers.
Ah,
Not great, but not bad.
what did you do to make a living in your adult life?
Well, since math was my favorite subject, I became a math teacher.
Ah,
So
what grade?
I taught in middle school for 4 years, and then had children. And when I had my children, I decided to stay home. So I stayed home for 11 years until my youngest child entered kindergarten. And then I went back to teaching, and then I went to teach high school.
Oh,
So for
did you
most of my
teach your
career,
children at any point?
did I teach what?
Did you teach math to your children at any point?
Well, I didn't teach them math, but I certainly did help them
Ah,
when they needed help with homework or anything else. And I'm now doing that with my grandchildren. They'll call me up with math questions when they have a problem in school for homework.
ah. Now we are going to wrap up with one more question. What advice do you have for future generations like me?
One, I would say to pick a career, something that you love doing, something that you will enjoy doing, and put your heart and soul into it. And I would also say to stay involved in what's going on in the world. We live in a crazy world, a
Yeah.
lot of crazy things going on, and you should stay informed and stay involved in all of it.
Yes. Thank you so much for spending your time to do this interview.
Anytime, Aaron.
Thank you.
Take care.
You
Love
too.
you. Bye.
Love you too.
Hi, Ty.